Hi everyone, hope you're all doing okay. I'm super excited to be kicking off my Summer of Instagram Live series where we'll be chatting about finding harmony between the online world and our well-being. And today I'm going to be joined by the brilliant Emma Hodges from Biscuit Communications. I am just going to find out how I add Emma to the live. Now, this is bound not to work. Emma, are you there? Yay, you're there.
Okay.
This is
How
the
are you?
first time I've done this, so I was thinking, am I pressing the right buttons?
I know exactly how you feel because I've done it earlier in the year. The first time you're like, oh my God. Now I'm like, yeah, I'm just making a cup of tea and I'm just going to quickly do this. Yeah, I think it's only once maybe that it's got a bit hairy and I think it was just a bit glitchy. But
Yeah, it's technology. I mean, that's all that needs to be said. It's great
yeah,
when it works. When it doesn't, it's a pain in the ass.
exactly.
Well, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. I can say this afternoon now. It's great to have you here. You're my first guest of this new series, so I'm really excited to spend the next 20 minutes, 30 minutes chatting to you about all things marketing and social media. So let's get going, shall we? So do you want to start by telling us a bit more about yourself and give us a little bit of an insight into what you and your business does?
Yeah, sure. So I'm really hot in here. Like,
Don't
I've had to shut
worry.
all the windows because there's a tree person outside. It's really noisy. I'm going to get redder as the 20 minutes
Don't
goes
worry,
on.
I'll be in the same boat.
So I'm a marketing strategist. I've been working in marketing for 25 years this August, which makes me sound incredibly ancient. And as of the end of July, I handed in my notice for my last employed job. When I was back in the world of employee work 10 years ago. So it'd be 10 years at the end of the month that I would have worked for myself. So it's always been marketing, always worked in marketing. I've worked for like really large marketing organisations, but I've also worked for startups, solopreneurs, like literally the full range. And obviously having my own business for a long time means that I totally know what it's like to try and market your business and do your job and try and juggle everything all at the same time. So I help people try and kind of navigate that because it's not always easy, and marketing isn't necessarily people's first like area of expertise. They might do something different for their job, but as a solopreneur, you've got to do marketing as well.
Fantastic. That sounds brilliant. And I should probably add as well that you're another freelancer who lives in Sussex, the
I,
lovely Sussex.
yes, which I think
So,
is how we connected, isn't it? Like you're just down the road.
yeah, so we've never actually met face to face yet, have we? But
No, we
we're all in
must
the
do that.
same lovely county. um, and what was it that made you become passionate about the sustainable marketing side of things?
I
And
think
what does sustainable marketing actually mean in practice?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a tricky word. I think the reason I became passionate about it is because, like I said, I've worked for myself for 10 years, so I totally understand like that kind of pressure that you feel all the time. Like if you've got ambition and you're thinking, well, yeah, okay, I want to work for myself and I want to have a successful business. Obviously, success can look different to everybody. Sometimes it's very financially motivated and people want to hit certain numbers a month. Other times it's because actually people just want a bit more time freedom, and they want to work around going to the gym or picking their kids up from school or just having a slightly different lifestyle that a 9 to 5 doesn't give you. But coming with that, like how do you then grow your business with all those pressures without just taking more and more on? It ends up just doing your head in basically. So I think that's why I became passionate about it, because I've lived it as well, and I totally get it. I want to grow my business, I want it to be successful on my terms, but I don't want to work 40 hours a week. I don't even really want to work 30 hours a week, to be honest. I can't just work 20. I want to work the hours that I want to work.
Yeah.
So it's probably being quite single-minded about that. And so sustainable marketing, to me, it's a tricky word to use because obviously sustainability has the whole environmental aspect to it as well. So that isn't what I'm talking about in this marketing sense. It's talking about marketing that fits your life, that is sustainable for you to do consistently. So it's not just going through like being really committed at the start of the year, going, right, I'm, really going to get on top of my marketing, and I'm going to do and you do it for 8 weeks and you're really good, and then life happens and you fall off the bandwagon, and suddenly your pipeline, your client lead generation dries up, and you're a bit like, oh, that didn't work. So it's kind of getting systems to make it more sustainable as part of your life that fits around your life.
Brilliant. That sounds fantastic. And is that, presumably, we're not just talking social media here, we are talking like the broader marketing spectrum?
Exactly that, yeah. So it's finding what works for people. So it's very much, social media might be a part of it, but it will be your whole range of doing lead generation, like funnels, email marketing, lead magnets, masterclasses, ads, yeah, like whatever's working for that person, wherever they we meet them where they are, basically.
Fantastic. That sounds brilliant. So I generally get the feeling that a lot of people, especially when they're first setting out on a business or thinking about setting up a side hustle, they think they have to post constantly, creating content, putting it everywhere. Why do you think this mindset is common? And obviously, I mean, I know from experience it can lead to burnout, but why do we put ourselves through that?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much comparisonitis, isn't it? And a bit of imposter syndrome thrown in, that it's so easy to look at what other people are doing and think, oh, well, they're doing it this way. What, maybe I should do that. Or especially if it's a business or a person that you admire and that you respect, and, ultimately you'd quite like your business to be like theirs. It's very easy to compare yourself and kind of think, oh, well, they're doing that, I should do that. But, you don't always know what's going on behind that business, whether they have help to deliver, the amount of stuff they're delivering. So it's a really easy trap to fall into, and we all do it all the time, even though, we know not to, and it's just a really, we're all guilty of it, aren't we? And then just thrown in on top of that, you get a little bit of imposter syndrome going, oh, I'm never going to make it, it's not going to work. So yeah, I think it's partly that, and yeah, mainly comparisonitis, I think, is, and maybe not having a bit of a strategy. Actually, not being confident enough is probably that the other, like, swinging between the pendulum of the two. Of, if you've got a really firm strategy and you're like, do you know what, I am focused on this goal, then you have a lot more confidence in what you're doing. Whereas if you're a little bit like, oh, I kind of think this is what's going to work, particularly if you haven't been in business a long time and you haven't necessarily tested out a lot of things, yeah, you wouldn't necessarily know, and it's easy to get distracted and led, into trying other things.
Definitely. I think that strategy bit is so important, isn't it? Because I don't know about you, but I certainly, I'm a sucker for professional development. And every session that I sign up for, they're telling me to do something different, like post on LinkedIn 5 days a week, or post on LinkedIn like every day or twice a day. And I'm like, but which is actually right? It's a mixture of that strategy bit. And I think finding what works for you, and like you said, like your lifestyle and what, where you want to be.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. Is the other thing is making time to work that out.
Yes.
I think lots of people who've got lots of ideas and very creative. And I think to be an entrepreneur, even if you're not a creative in the traditional sense of, being a designer or something, you're probably quite creative minded to go it alone and have your own business, whatever that might be. So you've got lots of ideas, but have you then got the time, or have you then sat and reflected and gone, oh, actually, but that one didn't really work for me, and actually that one's brilliant, that one really worked. And I think it's generally just kind of pinning people down and going, okay, let's look at this, let's look at the numbers, let's see what's working.
And also, you don't have to do everything at once. I mean, I'm almost 5 years into my freelance journey, and it took me a long time to realise that, yeah, I don't have to be, doing all the things all at once. Like, this is probably the first year I've really knuckled down on having a LinkedIn strategy. And, even that, it does look very different to posting on Instagram and Facebook, which I'm much more used to. So it takes more brain power for me to post on LinkedIn. even though they're not like a million miles apart, but I'm definitely pitching to a different audience. So,
Yes.
you know, what I'm saying is slightly different, I
Yes.
guess. But yeah, you don't have to do it all at once.
Yeah, that's a really important point actually, because yeah, same for me. Like I've sort of started a different part of my business, and I'm just kind of coming to the conclusion, like giving it time to work, and like you can put yourself under a lot of pressure, and I want to be here by this point, and you're like, well, yeah, but I still don't want to work those 40-hour weeks. So what's more important?
Fantastic. So how do you personally set boundaries with your own marketing and social media use, especially as a business owner?
um, Much like what we said. So partly, I mean, I'm quite far into my journey now, so it's going to be 10 years this year. So there's a few things. Pretty good at boundaries in terms of time driven boundaries, in terms of like I do not work on certain days and times. And that's non-negotiable because that's why I'm running my own business. That's why I want it to look like this for me. Um, Picking a couple of strategies that I know work and that give me visibility, um, but then don't take up all the time. So, just sticking with like kind of 2 to 3 things and doing them consistently, and not trying not to get distracted to go off and do this shiny new thing or that shiny new thing. Um, and repurposing also is also really good. Like repurpose everything. I think people do not do that enough. It's so simple, and you just takes a little switch of brain to go, oh, okay, if I do this long form bit of content, then that's going to give me so many different opportunities to recut it, reshare it, repost it, and cut it up, and it just makes life a lot easier. So yeah, repurposing is just a no-brainer, but people forget to do it because I think they're so conscious of creating more, and you're like, but you don't always need to do that, let's just bring it back a little bit. Yeah.
Brilliant. That's really, really helpful. And I guess if you were giving like advice out to people, some simple ways that they could make their marketing more manageable and sustainable, it'd be around that sort of thing as well.
Yeah, and don't forget to building, like when you're doing your calendar planning, like building your life. So like, the summer holidays is a prime example that, lots of people feel a lot more pressure if you're a parent, and that brings other pressures over the 6 weeks. Um, and so things like that, if you've got stuff coming up in the year, or you've got holidays, um, just try and be really like plan by quarter, like plan ahead. You can't beat a little bit of planning, can you? So to help you navigate, well, I've got this key theme to talk about, and I'm going to talk about this key theme for the whole quarter. And I know that because I'm talking about that key theme and I'm going to be away for 2 of the weeks, I'm going to repurpose my content, and that's just going to flow over those 2 weeks. I can schedule it and it's all done, and I don't have to then be thinking about marketing when I'm away. Like I actually want to switch off. Like there's no, we all want to have a holiday. Everyone deserves a break. If you don't, I mean, obviously some people are happy scrolling on the beach or by the pool, quite happy to reply to DMs. I know I won't get time to do that. So if I just want to like shut Instagram down for 2 weeks and don't reply to DMs, I'm not being terribly rude. I just want to have a holiday. And I think people are all right with that, like we all get now that people do need a break. Like you can't be on all the time.
Absolutely. And I think it's probably even more important as someone who's self-employed. I certainly
Yes.
remember the first year I went freelance, I worked a solid 9 months without taking a week off.
Ooh,
And by the time I got to August, I was like, I am so done now. Like I
yeah,
couldn't think of another thing before actually taking some holiday.
yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
a hard learning curve, isn't it? That's a hard lesson. Like you
yeah,
catch yourself thinking, I probably didn't like leave my job or start my business
yeah.
for this. Like that's probably not why I did it, but you catch yourself doing it anyway.
Absolutely. The things we put ourselves through.
Yeah, but you probably
um,
won't do it again. So
No, oh my gosh, no. And what you said about planning things quarterly. So I know that when I was an employed person, I used to have to take a week off every 12 weeks because otherwise I would burn out. So I don't know what made me think that then becoming self-employed that I didn't need to follow that same structure because it's clearly something that my body and my brain needs is every 12 weeks have a bloody week off.
yeah, and also
And now
it's
I do
really
it.
good. Yeah, it's really good for creativity as well
Yes.
because you do get burnt out, don't you? Like mentally burnt out as well. So you're thinking, well, actually, if you can disconnect for a
Yeah.
few days or a week, you come back. full of even more ideas to then go off and do.
Yeah.
But you do come back with different ideas and different
Yeah.
way of looking at things, and it's that kind of creative recharge that you really need. Otherwise, it just becomes a grind, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I mean, even this series of Instagram lives, this came to me while I was lying on a sun lounger in Lanzarote on my last holiday. And I
Yeah.
wasn't doing any work that week, but your brain does relax more. So you are able to think, oh, actually, why haven't I done this? This would be a really good idea. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a big advocate for taking a week off.
Yeah. That's the thing, you don't have to act on it on the week, do you? But you've
No,
planted that seed in your brain to
yeah,
think, well, yeah, that's something I'm going to look at when I get back. And yeah, you
absolutely.
may not have thought of if you were like just head down doing client work.
Absolutely. Fantastic. So, moving on, social media can obviously be a bit of a blessing and a curse for our well-being. What's your take on using it sustainably so that we can, look after our well-being a little bit better?
Yeah, I think comes back to boundaries. Instagram's got some really good tools for like, switching off and going into like an evening mode where you don't have to reply and people aren't expecting a reply if you know you've got the kind of the shutdown modes switched on. And also just remember quality over quantity, which I think
Mm.
is probably easier, like you said, if you're a little bit more established in business and you've got, again, that little bit more confidence that you feel like you don't have to post every day. I mean, I don't think you have to post every day, even if you're new to business, but it's the confidence mindset of getting into that, thinking, okay, well, actually, I'm going to be really strategic with my content. And I know that, my high ticket offer is the one that I really want to sell. So that's the one I need to be talking about more than anything. And actually breaking that down into, well, I've got this big piece of content about what an amazing transformation that this offer that you've got will make. How can I break that down? How can I present it in different ways? Like, how can I make a reel about it or a blog about it or different stories about it? And although that sounds like a lot, your original idea is just that one starting point, and that's your quality. And then it's not quantity in terms of I've got to think of 16 different posts for this month. And you're like, well, you can vary them a bit, but you don't have to think of 16 completely different things. You do also actually need to have a theme, and actually everyone who is watching Instagram or scrolling or even reading your emails, everyone's busy. Everyone is so busy all the time. And actually you have to tell people 20 million times what you do. And I think that's one of my last accelerator clients was like, she admitted in her emails that she was unsure whether to keep repeating herself basically about what they do in their offers. But then we're like, no, tell people that what you do. Like, people skim read, they don't read it, or, they're not reading it properly. It's okay to tell people lots of times because people are so focused on their own stuff. Um, yeah, it's an easy thing to do. So yeah, definitely quality,
Yeah.
repeat yourself, be strategic, and take breaks. Like take those breaks. Yeah,
Yes.
social media is hard. It is a necessary part of business, but that's the thing that's going to burn you out quicker than anything. So quite often I'd work with people to work out like, well, how can we get your lead gen working that utilizes other bits of marketing? So you still post on social media, but there might be other ways that are less time intensive
Yeah.
to bring you clients. And then your social media is more of a presence.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. I mean, the way we use social media has changed so much, hasn't it, over recent years? And I feel like it's very much not taken over Google, but now if I want to find out more about a new company or a company that I haven't heard of before, my first port of call now is to put it in an Instagram search rather than to go to Google.
Yeah, it's changing all the time, isn't it? And then of course
Yeah.
you've got AI thrown into the mix that
Yeah.
Google isn't even going to take you to their website anyway. Google's going to
Yeah.
answer your search query in Google with AI. But yeah, definitely, like you definitely want to kind of. I often wonder, is that because I'm in marketing though? like is that what normal people do? Or is that just like because I'm a bit marketing obsessed and Yeah, is that like I'll totally always check them out, like you say, like
Yeah.
just their profile looking again. I'm a bit like, well, you're not investing in your marketing.
Yeah, 100%. I
Yeah,
mean, I hope they don't mind me saying this, but one of my clients, I won't actually name them, but they are an events company that run Christmas markets. And whenever we're looking at getting new traders in, I'm always having a look to see what the traders are putting on their social media or on their website,
yeah,
because it's important for us to know that they're a genuine, legit company at the end of the
yeah,
day before we, you
yeah.
know,
And
select
that's the
them.
thing, depending on who you're looking for, that doesn't mean that that company's social media needs to be like super slick
Yeah,
and, have taken that company loads and loads of time, but it needs to be active. They need to
yeah,
post regularly, even if their regular is once a week. It doesn't have to be every day, but it
yeah,
needs to be, and like be really personal, because that's what that's where you're coming from, isn't it?
yes.
Of like, what's their vibe? Like, are they going to fit? And that's what social media gives you, isn't it?
Definitely. I think a lot of people still struggle with that, particularly small businesses. I think they worry about that personal bit. Whereas for me, I want people to be personable.
Yeah,
Like I want to see the people behind the brand. I want to know, how you spend your leisure time. I want to see behind the
yeah,
scenes. And I think we get very easily sucked into this. We must be sell, sell, sell all the time. That we don't have to operate like that.
yeah,
You're still selling you as a brand if you give us a glimpse into your personal life.
yeah. And people buy from people. It's an old
Yeah,
adage, but it's true, and that's why people say it. And
absolutely.
you do want to know that, don't you? Like, it's when you get people around your house to do work. Like, you kind of want to like the person. They're going to be in your home or your garden doing stuff, aren't they?
Absolutely, 100%. um so if someone watching today is feeling totally overwhelmed by marketing, where's a good place for them to start making some small positive changes?
I think, probably start small. Like, if you're feeling overwhelmed, then taking on too much is going to feel quite heavy, isn't it? So I think if you can pick one thing to start off with and do it well. So, like, even if you know that email is the thing for you and you've got a great list and it brings you business, concentrate on that. If you haven't quite built up your email list yet, and you are kind of in the stages of, actually, social media is where my people are, then obviously then you need to be there. But just concentrate on the one thing and do it well. Like you said, that doesn't have to look like doing it every day, but it has to do it well. And just try and do it, like, try and set aside 15 minutes a day, and just small chunks. Like, that's the whole Biscuit thing, is like bite sized. Make it bite sized, make it intentional. Um, and maybe if you're posting anyway, you've already got that side covered and you have a bit of a system, but then your 15 minutes could be used for things like, well, are you following up with people? Like, are you really following up with them? Have you checked in with your previous clients? Have you checked in with your existing clients to tell them about your other services? Because that's also things that people forget to do. And then you have the conversation with the client and you're like, oh yeah, did you know I did this other service? And they're like,
Yeah,
no, like, because you've forgotten to tell them. Um,
guilty.
yeah, yeah. So, spend those 15 minutes around, like, really concentrating on, like, referrals. Can checking with old clients? Can you check in with your existing clients? Are you tracking your leads? Are you tracking or engaging with all the people that are replying to your polls
Yeah,
on the stories, or like replying to your stories, or commenting on your posts, or DMing you? Like, do they just get missed? Because actually they're hand raisers. They're people that are putting their hand up and engaging with you, which means they're interested in what you do. So even if you forget everything else and just follow up with those people, have those conversations with the people that are interested, that's your 15 minutes, and you can kind of start building on that gradually. But just try and, like, start small, but do something that's actually more strategic. So, like, checking in with those hand raisers is probably going to get you further faster than just, like, posting into the ether.
absolutely. I mean, I am so guilty of not following up with half of that, but it's all on my to-do list.
Yeah. Well,
This
do
summer's
that
going to
bit
be the summer I
first.
do it.
Yeah, rewind. Do it the other way around. That bit's
Yeah.
first.
That's super advice. Brilliant. Thank you. And what's your favourite wellbeing practice or habit that helps you feel grounded when work does start to feel a bit heavy, or you feel yourself getting towards that horrible burnout piece?
Yeah, lots of cups of tea, lots
Yeah,
of biscuits, clearly. Um, we have a dog. I have a spaniel who's mental, so take the dog for a walk, get away from my desk,
yeah,
um, potter in the garden. I am not a gardener, but I like pottering and just, pulling off dead bits because I don't really know what else I'm doing. It's still quite, leveling. Um, yeah, and just chilling out basically. The most important one is walking away from my screen. I
yes,
think putting my phone down is really hard. I find it really hard actually that I love the Calm app. Like I'm just literally I must be
yes,
one of its highest users. But it's on my phone, and actually I
yeah,
just want to like put my phone down, or like if I'm walking somewhere or going to the gym, then all the apps are on your phone. You can't put
yeah.
it down, can you?
It's
Um,
annoying. I don't know how we
yeah.
ever get around that one, but
No, but try and turn everything else off on my
yeah,
phone and just use those nice like chill apps that are supposed to help me.
absolutely. Oh, that's brilliant. That's really, yeah, I can, like, a lot of that resonates with me. I'm like such an outdoorsy person that definitely
Yeah,
stepping away from the screen, even if it's raining outside, just
yeah,
5-10 minute walk around the block, just you can come back just feeling so much better.
yeah. That's the thing. It's really easy in the summer, isn't it? Like it's
Yeah,
lovely to get out there right now. But yeah, winter just as much. Like a rainy walk is it's
absolutely.
not so great when you come back and you're all wet and muddy, but
It's
it's
good for
done
the
your
soul,
headspace.
Emma. It's good for the soul.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, before we wrap up, can you let everyone know where they can find you if they want to find out more about you, your services, and is there anything that you'd particularly like to promote and tell the audience about today?
Yeah, yeah, I'm just on all the platforms. I'm not actually active on all the platforms. I have like little things over the past going, come and find me on Instagram. But it's basically at Biscuit Comms everywhere is that people would find me. Yeah, and in terms of just something to talk about, I mentioned quickly, I launched a new guide last month in June called the Minimalist Marketing Method, which talks a lot about what we've talked about today. And it's just breaking things down and just doing a few key steps to try and get those clients coming in, and stepping back, which is just kind of the beginning of what we would do as part of my accelerator. So the link is in my bio for that.
Wonderful. That's fantastic. Well, thank you ever so much for joining me, Emma. That half hour has gone so
I know.
quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to try and work out how to pop this onto my feed. So hopefully it works. And then, yeah, I'll signpost people to where they can find you as well through that. So
Brilliant. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope you enjoyed your first live.
I
Brilliant.
did. Thank you so much. You
Yeah.
made it very easy for me.
All right. Have
Take
a
care,
wonderful
Emma.
day. Bye.
Bye. Bye.